Hey everybody. Wow. Sorry about that. I can never get started on time. There's always some issue. You know, ironically, the little $20 video capture card works better than the one I paid like $90 for. Some reason it doesn't get recognized every time randomly, right? Some days it works fine, then other times it doesn't. So the little $20 HDMI capture card that I did a review on, um, I think I'm just going to use that from now on because it's never failed. I plug it in and it comes on. The reason I don't use it more is because the color is slightly off. Uh, you know, like my lips are a little bit redder than, well, anyway, maybe I look healthier on this one. But I'm so glad you guys are here and are so patient with me every week. And hopefully there's sound and uh and everything's clear. Someone told me about these Doctor Who backdrops. So I'm so happy now. I got a lot of different Doctor Who backgrounds I'm going to be playing with going forward in the streams. But yeah, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, you know, classic and the new ones. Uh, so let's see who's here. Leon, good to see you. Peter, Plato, Barry, Dave, Music Sound Gear, and Nature with Music, and I think David Crooks. Oh yeah, I got to talk about David Crooks for a little bit. And then Marcia from Florida. I'm glad the weather turned out okay down there for you last week or earlier this week. And Jonas, good to see you. John Follows, John Leach, Michael McLean. Hey, Rob, on my M1, for some reason, I'm seeing flash compensation in May A and S modes and can't get back to regular exposure comp. Yes, there's a setting in the menu which I would show you directly, but I'm gonna have to show you on the screen this way instead of through the HDMI capture thing. So frustrating. Uh, there's a. I'm gonna have to dig a little bit because I never use Flash Comp, but I know it's in here. And then just tell me which camera you have, by the way, because then I can pull that camera out and show you the same menu. I'm gonna do it on the M5 Mark III this time. We'll just get right into just answering questions, right? Let's see. We'll go into the F menu on this camera. And I don't have a flash on this camera. Hold on. Botox flash. Dude, I hope I didn't. Oh, here it is. I need to have a flash on here to make it count. I think. The battery. But if you look in menu F, you can turn on and off the flash comp thing. I'm pretty sure this is what it is. Why is there no power? I put the batteries in backwards. Seriously, that's the right way. There it is. Okay. Blinking lights. But it's right. This is why I don't like doing it on you can't because of the green screen. Let me turn the green screen off, I guess. Still a green screen. Where's the other one hiding? Still can't see it. Hold on. There. But it's, I can't see. All right. It's menu F here. And in the menu, in the flash menu, and you turn this on and off, and that should fix it, I think. That should take it out of the flash compensation and just work with regular comp, exposure comp. If that's not it, let me know. There may be one other setting. And let's see. Serge is here. Awesome. Randy, good to see you. Scroll down. EM1 Mark I. Oh, I don't have that camera to show you directly, but there should be a menu for flash and should be a way to enable disable the flash compensation menu or switch. Kathy loves her Godox. Yeah, me too. John Carbonera, sorry. From Jersey. Wow, you're not too far. A 4-hour drive for me. Good morning from the coast down. Robert Simmons, good to see you. Wow, it's 5 a.m. Let's see. Des, good to see you. Michael McLean, have that turned off. That's what puzzles me. Oh, okay, you have that turned off? Dang it. I just don't have an EM1 Mark I to show you. Let me think if there's one other setting here. Because you have a super control panel on the EM1 Mark I, I think. Yeah, nothing else comes to mind offhand right now, Mike. I'll have to give that some thought. That's not something I got off the top of my head right now. Michael. Flash exposure comp. Settings. I think, you know, a lot of times I can answer questions after the stream, but how do I get the answer to you, right? So what I'll do is I'll post it in my forum under Olympus cameras, or yeah, that's probably the best place, under Olympus cameras. So it's robtrek.com/forum. So Michael's saying that the flash exposure comp is changing, is the default or something like that. But I have a little trouble articulating, but I know what you're saying. Instead of regular exposure comp. Okay. So yeah, it happened to me once, I think, like a long time ago, and it was something I did and it wasn't a problem anymore. But I'll have to look at the manual to see the exact place in the menu it is for the EM1 Mark I. But I can verify it usually with one of the newer models because things don't change that much. Let's see. Or if anyone else knows offhand, you know, you can answer them right now for me, but it just doesn't come to me right now exactly. And let's see. Music got his EM5 Mark II weatherproof kit. Yeah, with the 14-150. Yeah, that's a really good lens too. That lens, I used it a lot, and I have to talk about my photo walk yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, what was yesterday? Wednesday. Yeah, with David Crooks. But I used that lens a lot yesterday, and It's really good, but I'm also comparing it against the Canon 24 to 240 kit lens, and it's sharper towards the end of the zoom range, right? Like at 150, but it's softer on the wide end at 14 millimeters than the Canon lens. So I can tell you that wide open, it's a little bit soft, which is odd to me. But zoomed all the way out, it's sharper than the Canon. So somewhere in the middle, it's perfect. Because, you know, it loses a little bit when you go all the way to the tele zoom range at 150. And other people have said the same thing. I hadn't noticed it really, but that's the only thing I can tell you about that lens, is that it is a little bit soft wide open for some reason. I don't know if stopping down helps, but the app, you know, you're starting at aperture f4 or whatever already, so you pretty much have to shoot wide open anyway. Let's see. Nature says, oh, that's for Dave. Evening. Bob Tishmarch, how are you? Randy says, what is your thoughts on the new EM10 and the 100 to 400 zoom lens? Okay, I really like the M10 Mark IV that came out for really two things, or two and a half. I like the flip down screen now. That's a big deal, I think. So that people can do selfies or, you know, do videos, so they can frame themselves when they're holding the camera. The other thing is that it's like 50 or 100 grams lighter than the previous version. And it's probably 100 grams lighter than the EM5 Mark III, which I really like. You know, super lightweight camera, because they were saying that that camera with the kit lens is only like 460 or 70 grams, something like that. That's as much as the EM5 Mark III weighs by itself, body only. So I like those two things. It's really the perfect travel camera, because with that kit zoom, that's, you know, it compacts down really nicely, and it just is nothing to carry. And a little bit deeper grip, but I haven't seen the menus and the features. I haven't seen any real testing on the autofocus. Maybe somebody's done a review, but you know, the autofocus on the M10 Mark II, and I assume the Mark III, wasn't that bad for photography. It was fine. But Peter, I watched Peter's review this morning. I'm sorry, not Peter. I saw Peter's and I watched Robin's review this morning, and neither of them really talked about the actual autofocus, like continuous autofocus and tracking and all of that. Even though it is a contrast only detect system, which I'm pretty sure is confirmed now that it's not a phase detect, you know, a new algorithm can make all the difference, right? Like it did in the EM1s. And so I'm curious to see how much better it is at tracking autofocus. Even if there's a tiny bit of pulsing, if it locks in and gets it, it's okay for continuous autofocus tracking. And so I'm curious to see that, particularly the continuous autofocus. The tracking kind of sucks on all the Olympus cameras. I tried to use a little bit today with some planes were flying over my house this morning. I should have gone out sooner, because when I hear they were doing something this morning, but when I hear the jets flying over, I usually ignore the first one. And then when the second one comes, that's when I should get out and go look right away, because I waited till about the third one. And I said, you know what? I think they're doing something. So I went out, and sure enough, they were doing some kind of mini air show or something. They were, you know, they might have been just doing a flyover to, you know, say thanks to everybody that's been helping with the pandemic and all. Because they do that sometimes. But today I got out and I caught them too late, and I only got the last. They were flying over the fourth round. They were flying over, and I caught them kind of flying away, far away. Why am I talking about that? Anyway, let's see. Oh, because you're asking me about the 100 to 400s, because I was using my 75 to 300, which is It's not a great lens. I just don't get great results with it, even in good light. I mean, it's okay, you know, and for 400 bucks, I'm not complaining. But I'm curious to see what the 100 to 400 can do. I mean, I see people posting their pictures on the YouTube and stuff, but those are 2 megapixel images, right, that we're looking at because it's on YouTube. Everything looks good in 2 megapixels. So I need to see some raw images from that lens at different focal lengths and things, and then I can get a little better feel how good or bad it is. And but it's $1,500, you know. It's probably worth it because it's weather sealed and has image stabilization built in, which they now have a firmware so you can get the rotational axis working with the camera. But a good question I got was why it doesn't have like full sync IS, you know, like the 300 millimeter. I think, you know, I think that's because at 400 millimeters, the sync IS or the IS inside the camera is doesn't have enough room to move up, down, left, right to work with that at that focal length. So they probably had to turn it off completely and just use the rotational side. That's my guess, because you know you can do it up to 300 millimeters. They have that sync IS action, right? But that's my guess, anyways. That at 400 millimeters it wouldn't work. You'd think maybe they just turn it off in camera through software, so that you'd get the sync IS at least up to 300. But you know, I'm not a camera engineer, so I don't know how difficult that would be. And Mattis says, hey Rob, your video really helps me understand my Olympus M10 Mark II. I'd be very happy if you will make some kind of tutorial about video making with the camera. Oh, thanks. I have some videos on video, making video. Nothing, they're more academic type tutorials where I kind of teach you exposure and settings and things like that, but nothing about actually going out and shooting with it, right? And then post-processing and like the whole gamut from recording all the way to output to, say, YouTube or to friends and family. Something I've been meaning to do, but the challenge is the post-processing part can be pretty steep learning curve. Because I use DaVinci Resolve, which is kind of a high-end video editing software. And lots of people use Adobe Premiere, but either one, the learning curve's a little bit steep for just entry-level type enthusiasts that want to record video. So my advice really, if you know nothing about video, just put it in auto mode and just let the camera do all the work on the exposure, and all you have to do is worry about composing. So maybe watch my videos about video settings and things, and then start thinking about post-processing software. There's some low-end ones that are supposedly easier to use, but you know, I've downloaded 30-day trials to no end on probably 5 or 6 of them, and most of them just crash on my computer. If you have a Mac, you might have better luck, but I don't have much luck on my Windows computer. DaVinci Resolve is the only one that's been 100%, well, not 100%, but you know, 99% stable on my system. Let's see. Bob Tishmar says, I picked up a used SB26 after your recommendation, so we'll be hitting you up on the forum for some base. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually I had an SB26 in my hands today. One right here. This is a really old film era flash. You know, don't put it on your hot shoe on your camera, because I don't know if the voltage or something is different. It might damage your camera. But this is an excellent flash. I mean, this thing is what, probably 15 years old or more, and it still fires like brand new. It's a little bit, it's huge, but it's very powerful and has an awesome optical trigger on it. So you can fire it with a little pop-up flash on your camera, or the little attached one. And you know, you can get these for about 30 bucks, you know, maybe 50. I don't know what they go for now. They should just give these away at this point, but they're every bit as good as like a high-end flash, because these used to be the high-end flashes. Barry says Peter Forsgaard seems to like the new EM10. Yeah, he likes it because it is even smaller and lighter than the older version. But like I said, I haven't seen the menu system and everything in there, and you know, if it's anything like the EM10 Mark III, it's going to be very simplified, and they may have stripped some features, but I think he said something about they added the My Sets back in, or custom settings. So I'd be curious to see that. Because if that's the case, that was a big deal on the M10 Mark III for me. That's why I never got one. I may get one if it has custom My Sets in it. Dave Nelson says, I would think the flip down screen on the M10 would be a pain. How do you use it on a tripod or selfie stick? Oh, you just get a brace. I used to do it on my EPL8 all the time. It's not a pain, really. You know, but you get a brace that holds the camera, then it extends out a little bit to here, and that's where you mount the tripod. So yeah, it's a little bit, you know, it's heavy on the side, but it, you know, it's such a lightweight camera, it doesn't matter, and it works fine. The M10 Mark IV looks well positioned spec-wise. Yeah, except for the mic jack. It's not going to get good press because of that. You know, hopefully that USB-C port can be converted to a mic jack somehow if they have the wiring done right. You know, for photography though, it's perfectly fine. Like Robin was saying, right? And Peter, it's a nice camera. I haven't seen Jimmy's yet. I'll get around to Jimmy's review of the lens and the camera, but I'm sure, you know, he's done a very comprehensive one as well. And John Carbonera says, if you know the new 100 to 400 versus the older 75 to 300 is in the new 1 to 400 any good? No sync IS. Well, you know, the 75 to 300 doesn't have any IS. It just uses the one in the camera. It doesn't have its own. And the 100 to 400 it has its own IS, plus you can use the rotational image stabilization in sync with the camera. So it's a semi-sync, right? With the camera. And I'm sure it's excellent. You know, it has to be at least as good as the 100 to 400 from Panasonic. Otherwise, it's not going to sell, right? Because people just buy the Panasonic, and right now the Panasonic is cheaper. And the ones I've seen from the 100 to 400, the images have been excellent. And David Crook says Scott Bourne did a review of the 100 to 400 on his blog, and he loved it. And he's a visionary. Yeah, I mean you have to take all these reviews online with a grain of salt, though, especially if they're from visionaries. I mean, I don't question their credibility or their, you know, if they're, you know, yeah, credibility is the word. I think they're being honest and truthful when they really love the lens. They probably do. But unfortunately, visionaries, right, and ambassadors, they're not allowed to compare that lens directly with, say, the Panasonic lens, as far as I know. So if they can, then they would do it. But I would think a good review would be a direct comparison against the Panasonic 100 to 400, you know, competing lens, and then against the primes, the 300 millimeter f4, and then see the differences, right? But you know, when you have that 100 to 400 lens in a bubble all by itself, yeah, it's the best lens ever, or the worst, right? So that's why these reviews that are out right now, You know, I'm not knocking them, but it's not enough. You have to see a comparison between, you know, what's available, right, against other lenses. And, you know, I wouldn't even mind a comparison against the 75 to 300, because if they say, yeah, it's about the same at 300 millimeters, I'm like, well, then it's not that great. You know, not $1,500 great, $400 great, but not $1,500 great. So we need those kinds of comparisons. I don't know, maybe if David's been thinking about getting it, David Crooks. Maybe if he buys it, then we can go out and shoot and I can do a direct comparison. I let him borrow my 75 to 300 yesterday. We went out on a photo walk at the some sunflowers and stuff, right? If you've seen my Instagram, I got a bunch of pictures, you know, 8 or 9 of them that I took yesterday and put them up there for you to look at. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's a good meme. That would make a good t-shirt. Everything looks good at 2 megapixels, right? Are you, oh, I don't know what challenge Robin, everybody keeps telling me Robin Wong is challenge as a challenge, but I haven't heard a peep from him. He has a way to message me or text me or whatever. Because he's got to know we don't watch each other's video with like a fine-tooth comb, right? We kind of skim through them. At least I do, honestly. I'll watch their videos, so I'll immediately skip the first minute or so because that's mostly, you know, who they are, what they do, and the little bumper video screen, right? You know, subscribe and all that stuff, and then you kind of get you know, you kind of get to the meat somewhere in the middle, right? Like when they actually show pictures and talk about it. But yeah, like David was telling me, Peter called me out about not using my 17 millimeter. I'm like, God, that's my favorite lens. I use it all the time. What's he talking about? And then and then Robin has some 75 millimeter challenge. So I shot with it yesterday. A lot of the images on my Instagram have the 75 millimeter lens, but some with the 14 to 150. There's one with a bumblebee close up that I took with the 14 to 150. I'm pretty sure I used extension tubes on that shot. But man, you can see every hair on that bumblebee. It's really tack sharp. Oh, David said he posted some of his images yesterday. So David's Instagram is dcrooks, DCROOKS. But if you go to my Instagram to one of my images, I have his like at David Crooks in the description, so you can link directly to it. Yeah, I'm curious to see those actually. Let's take a quick look. I got a screen here. Yeah. So here's mine. Like this is the bumblebee one I was talking about. I mean, if you guys could see, let me zoom in. That thing is tack sharp, man. Of course, we're like I said, we're at 2 megapixels, so everything looks good, right? But this is David Crook's thing here. Oh, okay. Yeah, nice one. Good job. We'll click like here. Good job. I got one just like it. But yeah, David kind of he kind of inspired me to use Pro Capture because I rarely use Pro Capture because you end up with 1,000 images, you know. Good looking dragonfly. Oh, you got the Monarch. Man, yeah, we saw the you know, you pointed it out to me, but it was flying away 100 yards. That's cool that you got it. 2 days ago. Wait a minute. Maybe this is not from the same photo walk. Yeah, this is not from the same photo walk. But this one is. This one is. This one is. Okay, good. So yeah, D Crooks US. Oh, dang, you got 1,100 followers, David. That's not bad. All right. Let's see. Rob, you said that you make your own camera straps. Do you have a video on how to do that? No, but it's simple, right? It's just, what the heck was that? All right. Always dropping something. It's just a paracord, right? This is like a fisherman's knot that's adjustable, so I can slide this up and down. And then these are just like, I got these from the hardware store. These are key rings. And that's it. So I bought like a 100 feet of paracord for $10. So I made like, I don't know, I made 6 or 7 straps. And you get 10 of these for $10. So you can do 5 straps with these. So I got like 5 or 6 cameras with these kind of hooks, and the other ones I just looped it right through the thing directly. But I like this because if I want to take the strap off, you know, I can just take it off very quickly, and then it's easy enough to put back on, like so. Because, you know, when I'm on a tripod, having a strap is kind of a hassle. It's easy to take off and just put in my pocket. And then the nice thing is, you know, these straps don't take up any room in your bag, right? I mean, it just wraps around the camera, you stuff it in your bag. Because, God, those straps, man, I used to do straps all the time, and I could never find the perfect one. Especially because you start packing everything in your bag, and then you got to put the strap in there too, and that just seemed like, I don't know. So I just use, that's what I do, because the cameras are so light. You don't need to do anything special. Nature with Music says, I never use tracking. Does not really seem to work. Down to me to maintain the subject and the viewfinder. Yeah, I agree. Sephrin says, I'm curious how the focusing compares to the new EM5 with them putting the same algorithm. Yeah, I'm curious too. That flip down screen is Street Shooter Dream. Yeah, that's a big deal. You know, being able to flip that down 90 degrees and then a full 180, that's really nice. John McCormick, how are you? Says, just snagged the 75 to 300 at the Ollie outlet for 360 and free shipping. Always good light here in Florida. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Always good light in Florida. Bob Tishmar says, in my humble opinion, Olympus needs to stop the price it high and then discount it regularly to a more reasonable price tactic. If you weren't awake and looked at the wrong time, you might cross it off your list. Yes. But that's been the going thing with cameras forever, right? They have this like this ridiculous list price, and then a few months later they'll sell for 20% or more below that later. Not much. You don't have to wait long. Like the M5 Mark III, I think what 3 months after it came out, it was like another $200 or $300 off. So you don't have to wait long. But that's true for all brands, really. They're always coming off on price. And Roman says, do you have a video about moon photography? I miserably failed last week, and it would have been great to get the moon, but it did not focus. It was too bright. Yeah, I have one. Just search for moon photography, or search the word moon on my site. Robtrek moon. So, yeah, right here, episode 98. Easy settings for moon photography. That's it. Hi Rob, upgrade from M10 Mark II to the Pan GX9. What do you think? I don't know, what does the GX9 have that you want? I mean, image quality wise, there won't be much difference. Feature wise, I think the Olympus has more interesting features than the GX9, but I'm not that familiar with the GX9. It doesn't seem like an upgrade to me going to a GX9. Unless you want the video side, because I understand Panasonic has good video, but for photography only, I wouldn't call that an upgrade. That's more like just a minor update, relatively speaking. Unless you're talking about video, then it's a huge. It's a much bigger step. I wouldn't say huge, but it's a much bigger step upgrade in video with the Panasonics. Let's see. Wildman Rouse has some fantastic photos and written a review on his Wild Bunch website of the 100 to 400. Oh, okay, good. Feldman Rose. I don't know who that is. He's in the UK, looks like. Oh, and he has a video. Special. This is him. Let's see. Well, we'll check that out later. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. No USB-C jack on the M10 Mark IV. I guess you mean no USB-C microphone, right? Yeah, that would be sad. Maybe they can get it to work in software later. It's kind of like that that other device, the DJI Pocket Osmo. I forget what it's called exactly. It's that little tiny gimbal camera. They had to sell a special USB-C adapter. You can't like just use any USB-C adapter. You have to use the one from DJI. Then it works as a mic jack. So maybe Olympus can do something like that. And then Dave says, I don't get the hype about the M10 Mark IV being so light. If you hold just the body of the M12, it seems pretty light to me. And when I bring cameras on backpacks and weight, it's for sure an issue. Yeah, I mean, the lighter the better, really. The M1 Mark II is about double the weight. Isn't that like 600 grams, and the M10 Mark IV is only 350 or so. Yeah, it's not a big deal in the end, right? If you're just holding one camera, but I think when you hold a lighter camera and it takes great pictures, it's better. You know, I'm all for lighter weight. Make it all plastic, make it lightweight. You know, like this PL8, this thing is really lightweight and easy to carry around. Has the full flip down screen. This was the camera I used for a long time. You know, in camera life. I used this for about 2 years as my main vlogging camera, and I did some photos with it, but I prefer the M10 over that for doing photos. Oh, Lauren, how are you? Lauren's been emailing me a lot lately about cameras, and it's I guess the Canon. Yeah, I've been doing some reviews on the Canon. I have to finish that up. I'm supposed to give it back to him tomorrow. But he'll let me keep it for another week or two, I guess. I'll just tell him I forgot to bring it with me. It's no big deal. But you know, the dynamic range on the Canon, the one I have, the RP, is not that great. I mean, if you expose properly, then you're fine. Takes great pictures, but if you're trying to push and pull shadows and highlights, yeah, it's a little weak. And David Crook says Scott Bourne was able to use the TC2 on the 100 to 400. Dang it. This thing jumped on me. Well, I lost my place. I don't know what you were talking about there, David. There it is. Okay. Yeah, Scott Bourne said he used. Okay, so yeah, if you use the TC2 with the 100 to 400, you know, you're like at F12 or 13, some crazy number. Wow. I don't know how you can shoot at those levels. Yeah, like if FGen is saying, you know, the Canon RF 800 f11. What a ridiculous lens, in my opinion. And Randy says, shoot the moon ISO 100, choose aperture f11, f16, choose the shutter speed, ROM 1160, set the focus, manual focus set to infinity. Yeah, you can go all in, right? If you want to start doing manual settings, but you know, in my video, I just put an aperture priority and take a picture. I mean, long story short, on tripod with no image stabilization. Randy continues. Yeah, like I said, you can go all in and really, because that's one of the shots I did was kind of like that. It was on a tripod with, I used a 150 to 600 Nikon lens adapted and shot the moon. I took like 40 or 50 images and stacked them. You know, I got one really good moon shot. You know, it's the kind of thing you do once and never do again because it's so much freaking work. But if you really want to get into doing astrophotography, you know, it's easy to start with the moon, right, and get that right, and then take baby steps to other things, you know, like the Horse Nebula and or Crab Nebula, whatever those things are out there in space. Because you're going to use the same techniques, just on a different scale. But yeah, just start easy with the moon, like with my video, and then you can kind of, if you really like it, shooting the moon and things, then you can kind of really get into it. But me personally, yeah, I did it once, and it was so much work that I just never did it again. I'll show it to you. Oh, seriously? You're gonna make me sign in? What if I search moon? Let's see. There it is. I think it's this one. Yeah, this one here. So yeah, if I punch in, I did a pretty good job, right? I mean, you can see like all the craters and everything. But yeah, this is like, this was my Pen F with my Nikon 150 to 600 lens. It's a Tamron, but Nikon mount. With my Pen F, 1/180th of a second, ISO 200. So that's pretty close to what Randy was saying. And this, I didn't make any notes, but was this, I don't know if this was a single shot or... Let me see what this one is. That looks like the same thing. Oh, that's one I shot with my Nikon. This was back in 2014. And then this one was 2016 with the Pen F using the same lens. And they're virtually identical. That's a composite I did. See what this one is. I think this one's a single shot. No, this one's a composite too, because I can see all this detail. But this was a couple days before because it wasn't a full moon yet, so I waited for a full moon. Sometimes these are better though, because you get more shadow detail when it's not a full moon. So that's that. But yeah, I don't do them often because there's so much work. Hi Corna, how are you? I'm doing well. And Roman says, good news, I got my Pen F back from Olympus and they fixed it for free. Wow, the thumb grip is glued back. That's awesome. Sturwood says, I just got the 9mm body cap fisheye lens and I just in love with it and even kept good sharpness. Yes, it's a great lens. That is a great lens that didn't get enough attention. And Roman says, somewhere you wrote f90. I wondered which lens you used. I don't know what you mean by f90. You can elaborate on that question. And John McCormick says, FYI, there'll be a double moon on August 27th. Mars and the moon will be the same size. and adjacent to each other. You're kidding, right? How can the moon and the Mars be the same size? And Bob Tishmar says, Wildman Rouse thinks the 100-400 is not quite as sharp as the 300, but flexibility of the zoom will get you in more circumstances, judging on the quality. I'm not going to argue. Okay. So he is comparing it at least to the 300 f4. Cornet says, you know what? You have convinced me to use my Fuji X-T2 more due to your dynamic range comparison with the Canon and EM5 III. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that Fuji did a good job in the comparison, right? Yeah, it's a good camera. It doesn't focus as well though. At least you know. Anyway, I don't want to go there again. I talked about that last week. And Peter, how are you? It says, this is Peter from Polska, Poland. Ha, you were right, sir. The dummy battery and the DC converter kit arrived today. It was fast. I see 8.15 volt at the terminals testing without. Okay, good. Yeah, keep us posted. But I'm glad that told you those things come in early sometimes, 2 weeks, sometimes 5 weeks. But it's really weird when you get things in from China. It comes in like this little package. Like they don't pack things well. But then it says like they shipped this all the way from China for like 85 cents. How do you do that? How do you ship a little package like this for 85 cents or $1, whatever it is, like next to nothing? You know, I wanted to ship out some little Olympus buttons to some of my viewers when I first started streaming. I never did that again because it was like $5 or $6 to ship the frickin' thing. Just within the US, not even overseas. How do they send things for 85 cents? I'm always amazed. Okay. Randy says, last night did the Milky Way. Okay. Looking forward to that. You have to, like, put a link to your portfolio somewhere on my forum or something so we can all go look at your stuff. Because the only stuff I see is what you submit for the photo editing. Dave Nelson says, if you use the Peak Design straps, the connectors won't scar up your camera. That's true because they're plastic, right? Or rubberized metal. I don't know. I have a Peak Design wrist strap that I used to use with my Nikon. And then over time I decided not to use it because then the camera's like basically an extension of your hand, right? And it's a pain to take on and off, and I don't know. I just didn't like it. And the Peak Design straps have the little button tabs. It's the same thing, right? But you know, it's like $50 for a frickin' strap or more from Peak Design. I'm not spending like 50 bucks on a strap. Because how many cameras do I have, right? I mean, Peak Design strap. Yeah, look. Seriously. $65. I mean, yeah, I'm not doing it. I don't mind a few scratches on the side of. Let me see though. I never thought about it. I mean, no scratches yet, but yeah, I can see where this might scratch the camera. My strap does the same and fixes to either the underside of the camera bracket. Quick change and remove. I know, you know, if you're money no object, you know, yeah, go for Peak Design. They look like nice straps, but wow. I guess you could argue, you know, you got like thousands of dollars in gear. You know, what's another $65 for a strap that's not going to scratch it up? So, but for me personally, I like for about 20 bucks, I made 6 straps. And let's see, Peak Design is popular, looks sturdy, looks handy as long as the button doesn't bug me when I'm shooting. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a fine strap, but wow, yeah, $65. I mean, there's just some things that are just just feel expensive when they shouldn't be. Like $25 for a strap is about my limit if I was going to buy a strap. But even then, I was buying like $10, generic straps. Because I didn't want to spend $25 on it. It just didn't seem like worth it to me. Des is asking, when do camera sales normally start? Yeah, October-ish is a good time. But who knows the way things are right now? They might have sales all the time. Dave Nelson asked, did anyone see the current Jared Polin video with 600 and 800 with the 2x teleconverters? Pictures he took were pretty crazy awesome, but f/22. I have not seen that video. I've been meaning to, but I haven't seen it yet. Like I said, everything looks good at 2 megapixels. The good thing about Jared though, he normally has links that you can download the images and look for yourself. So maybe if he's done that this time, that might be worth it. If you're considering that lens, it's just not a lens I'm considering because I don't shoot Canon. GX9, Lauren is saying the GX9 is 20 megapixel and the dial on top for the light settings. Okay. Efren says the GX9 is designed for street photography. And who needs more than 2 megapixels? True, right? I mean, my clients, I deliver 2 megapixel images to my clients. Because they just post them on the web anyway. And then they get downgraded. The quality is so bad by the time they get it into their system. Because, I send them 2 megapixels and then whatever they get, they put into their system and it gets compressed down to nothing. And it doesn't matter if I send them, full 16, 20 megapixel images, right? It just gets compressed so much. And then Christopher says, I wonder if they should jump over USB audio and implement Bluetooth audio. Problem with Bluetooth, there's a lip syncing issue with video and you don't notice the lip syncing or delay issue with phones because you're not looking at the person when you're talking to them. And then when you do those live chat videos things, there's always that lag anyway. So the person on the other end is not seeing the lip syncing issues because it gets synced back before it gets sent to them. But in cameras, you're not going to want to like shoot video on a camera and then there'll be that lag so it can lip sync. There's a Bluetooth protocol called aptX, which is supposed to have virtually no syncing errors, delays. Small enough that it won't matter. But I seriously doubt they put aptX in the camera. The new 100 to 400 lens is 2500 in New Zealand. I had to sit down after. Yeah, I would too, man. Oh my god. Bob Tishmar says the EM1 Mark II is 574 grams. So it's 200 grams more than the EM10 Mark III. I like the cameras are not too light. If they are 100 grams, you don't feel anything in the hand. Yeah, I mean, I get that. They can't weigh nothing, right? But the less the better. Like, I like my TG5. It's only 100 grams or so. Maybe 125. I don't know. It's really light. No, TG5 I think is 250 grams, come to think of it. Where is that thing? Yeah, this is like 250 grams. I love going out with this thing. And the M10 Mark IV is only 100 grams more than this. I mean, that's really attractive to me. This feels very compact and portable. Peter says, but wait, when you take a picture of the moon when your focal length is high, there is no chance to get it sharp unless you use high ISO due to the Earth's rotation. Right? No, you don't need to worry about the Earth's rotation when you're taking a picture of the moon. I mean, I don't know what focal length you need to be at when that before that becomes a problem. I can imagine. I mean, I've shot the moon at 500 millimeters, which is 1,000 millimeters, 35 millimeter equivalent, and I didn't have any issues at all. And Nature says Olympus Pro tele lenses are relatively heavy, but their small size more than compensates. Take the Canon 1400 millimeter or Nikon lens. Yeah, my God, they're huge. You guys ever remember seeing that Sigma Canon bazooka, whatever they called it? The big giant green lens. I forget how many millimeters that was. God, what did they call that? The Sigma bazooka? I think that's what it was called. Yeah, here it is. Look at this thing. This is a 200 to 500 f2.8. Oh my God. Holy crap. It's got its own luggage handle. And let's see what does it weigh? The lens weighs 34.61 pounds or 15.7 kilos. That's a heck of a lens. Market alert, I bought those 4-pack lens pouches from K&F website. They took about 20 days to get, but they're really nice. Okay, good. Good to know. The moon is daylight exposure. And I would imagine pretty close to daylight white balance as well. Craig says it's the older USB-B port on the M10 Mark IV. Jimmy Red 35 suggests using the Olympus digital recorder mounted on the hot shoe, then syncing. Maybe. I would be careful about mounting a recorder directly on the camera, though. I don't know about the M10 Mark IV specifically, but when I used to mount things directly onto the camera, the vibration from the image stabilization would be picked up by the microphone. The vibration and or sound of the image stable. Because if you turn your camera on and put your ear up to it, you know, you can hear the image stabilization kind of humming. And that gets picked up in the mics, either because of vibration and or the sound itself. So I'd have to try it before I recommend it. You know, if anybody can, just go over to Jimmy's video about that and ask him, you know, do you get any humming sound? Because I used to get humming sound, especially on the PL8. It was a big deal. It made it unusable, the audio, basically. I mean, you could hear me, but who wants to hear that little hum in the background, right? And John McCormick says, robtrek moon photos. Hey, there'll be a double moon on August 27th. Mars full moon will be the same. How come I feel like I've seen that before? I mean, the same size part, I don't get. Adjacent, I get. I remember seeing the moon like it, or Mars when it was next to the moon before, and it was, you know, this little red dot, but it wasn't the same size. People say do high res for the moon. Yeah, it works. Because your shutter speeds are like 1/200th of a second, 1/300th of a second. It's fine. Oh, hey Arthur, how are you? And Christopher says, I tried some Astro a few nights back. Disaster. Got a blue shy at 11 p.m. Need to do my research on settings. Discovered that the Pen Mini 2 has live time, which I might try. Yeah, try different things. I'll have to do it one night and really give it an effort. Like a teachable effort. Like I've gone out and tried a few times. And they were okay. I mean, I don't know if I have any recent examples. All of a sudden the internet is slow. Well, if Flickr ever comes up, I'll show you guys some of my astro shots. Levente, how are you? And yes, I got your email about the firmware updates. I think that was you. Mars the size of a moon is a hoax. Yeah, I would imagine. It would be like the end of the world if if Mars was ever that close. And Brad says he got some good shots of the comet a few weeks ago. Awesome. Yeah, I missed that whole comet thing. The United States gives China special rates to ship to the USA. Trump is about to kill. Oh, okay. Okay, that explains it, because that's crazy cheap. The almost free shipping comes from them bringing it with large ships. They bring lots of stuff. That's why it takes... I get that they ship it by, you know, it comes over like in containers on a boat, Levente, but... or whoever was saying that. But once it gets to the... Once it gets to the coast, right? The US Post Office has to deliver it. I just don't see how they can... Just crazy to me how they do it so cheap. And Dave says he took 1,400 pics yesterday and deleted 660 due to pro capture. Yeah. Yeah, I got about 1,000 images, and yeah, half of those are pro capture, at least. Old player, late for the party. It's okay, I started late. And Levente says, yeah, but oh man, that was like 15 minutes ago. But yeah, when we were talking about straps, Levente saying you only have to get one. Yeah, if you only have one camera, but I've got like a lot. You know, if I had to buy 10 straps, for example, that's 650 bucks. robtrek, yes, they are not cheap, but they are also handy. Don't have three. Yeah, so Dave just said what I said, you know, if you only have one camera basically and not 300 like me, it's okay. Go crazy. If you only have one of something, go crazy, man. Just get the best of everything for that one thing. You know, don't go cheap like I do, but I have to kind of mitigate my overhead, right? So that's why I'm like always trying to find something cheap to, you know, just do better. But still, the Peak Design straps are big and thick and heavy, you know, relative to like my little paracord strap. So I still like my strap better even than the Peak Design, even though they might scratch. Optech, Joby or paracord wrist straps work fine, but I'm curious about Peak Design. And Roman says 65 is nothing compared to the ISO monitor, which is still on your list. Oh, yeah, but I gotta get a computer first. I've narrowed it down. I just have to think if I can wait. If I can wait for a better computer to come out, because there's gonna be some awesome ones coming out probably the day after I buy one. It's always like right around the corner. And with computer stuff, it's not the same as like cameras. Computer stuff, there can be a leap, you know, in speed and tech in a laptop that can happen quickly. Unlike in cameras, you know, you can be using an EM1 Mark I and be perfectly fine, you know, but not in computers. I'm using a Olympus GS5 grip straps on the M1 Mark II and EM5, the wrist cuff type. Okay, I'm not familiar with those. My straps by Waka can be very easily extended or unclipped from camera-based telelens. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only advantage of the paracord over any other strap is it's just a string. And the cameras are so light, you know, it doesn't like dig into your neck. So this is the way to go for me. Yeah, Bluetooth can be finicky. Thank you, Levante. That's true. When we were talking about using Bluetooth for audio connect, this camera's supposed to do that. It sucked. The Bluetooth mic thing on this, yeah. So that's not, you know, I don't know, cell phones, they got it right. The Bluetooth works great, but somehow on a camera, it's just a disaster. And Peter says, easy to explain these cheap packages from China. They are regarded, oh, wait a minute, as a, dang it. This thing jumps so fast. Good night, all. Gotta go. Okay, Barry, we'll see you later. Arthur says, guess I missed any talk about the new M10 Mark IV. I love the body design, even if it's plastic. Yeah, Arthur, that's, you might want to consider the M10 Mark IV. I mean, I would see if it has anything you want on it, but that flip down screen, that might be enough, right? For what you do, street shooting. Oh, now we're caught up to when I was talking about the bazooka lens. Don't point that Sigma lens at the White House. The small rig version of Peak Strap, small rig makes good stuff, and they're very reasonably priced, better than reasonable. They're a good value, I think. Small rig, everything I've seen is from small rig, very high quality, very good price for the quality. So if they're making straps, I have no doubt that they're going to be very well priced for what they are. I mean, they're not the cheapest, right? But they're not overpriced by any means. Kind of like Olympus, in my opinion, right? It's like they're not the cheapest, but I think you get your money's worth. David says, I love my Bigma 50-5. Oh, I remember the Bigmas. Yeah, I remember that on the 7D Mark II. Yeah. Rob, I hear that with seashells too. Yeah. God, I'm so behind here. And I have to start my next stream here in about 10 minutes. And Brad Becker says, does the M10 Mark II support wireless intervalometers? Yes. There's one made by Pixel that connects to the USB port. The trigger connects via USB port, and then the remote, you can set up timers and things in it. So yes, you can do that. It's a Pixel wireless trigger for the M10 Mark II. It's about $30. It's very cheap. I have one. It works great. I never used it for intervalometer, but it has all the settings. All it does is fire the trigger, right? So if you program it right in the trigger, it'll be fine. Yeah, it's this is the trigger you mount on top of the camera. And then, oh, there's my DJ Osmo. This is a great little camera, actually. And then this is the trigger, and then it has all these menu settings inside. Green screen, but it has all these menu settings inside that you can set up the timings for the trigger. Oh crap! I saw my lenses get scratches. Okay. robtrek, any mic fixed to a camera must have soft, movable mount. Otherwise, any sound from the camera knocking will be picked up. Yes. Best to keep the mic separate. Agreed. Saw according to Robin Wong that the sensor on the Ollie and the M10 is the Pen F, which he liked. It could be. It could be. I would be surprised if it is the same sensor. I would be surprised if it is. But why not? You know, why not? I don't know. Marsha, oh my goodness, thank you so much. My #1 fan. God, you probably did that like 10 or 15 minutes ago, but I appreciate it. And it looks like Randy gave me $5 too. Man, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. That helps me so much. If anyone is looking at used Olympus cameras on eBay, I can highly recommend Map Camera. Okay, good to know. I have two EM10 Mark IIs I bought for freaking $685 new. Holy crap. $685. Man, that is smoking. That's like selling it like they stole it. Questions for Rob 100 years ago. Rob, which magnesium powder should I use for my large format camera? I have no idea. The magnesium powder. Wow. They used to use magnesium for the flashes, right? And they would light those things up and it would explode like a stick of dynamite. And you literally risk your life just to take a picture. But yeah. I can't help you with that anymore. I mean, if that's a serious question, I really can't help you. I don't know. robtrek, after my Zuiko 45 f1.8 is cleaned on the inside element, it is so sharp again. I can see all the little hairs of skin of people I shot. Awesome. I told you it was dirty because Roman had sent me some pictures to edit that I do in my live stream editing. I was like, you know, this doesn't look sharp, or so I forget what it was, but I said, you got to clean your lens. It worked. The M10 Mark II, because I have the same lens and I know what it can do. So when I saw his, I was like, it's not sharp. You need to clean it. And then Lauren says the M10 Mark IV may not be a good value, and remember some disruption ahead and move to JIP. Pretty sure that this gets discounted. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't upgrade to an EM10 Mark II right now or EM10 Mark IV if you have any camera from Olympus or any camera at all, but if it's your very first camera, I probably wouldn't hesitate to recommend it, to be honest. But I would tell you to wait. Don't buy it now. Definitely don't buy it now. Wait a few months if you can. If you can't wait, then get, you know, an EM10 Mark II. It's a great camera. So 5-minute warning. Thank you, Bob. I'm gonna get to it. You don't use magnesium flash with long hair. I know, right? Man, those things. I just remember this. You guys have to watch this on YouTube. I'm gonna find it because this is worth it. 1 hour photo. What's the guy? Not the movie 1 hour photo. I haven't seen that, but this guy. Oh, you can't see Jack, right? Hold on. This guy right here. Just search 1 hour photo dry bar and it'll come up. This is like the little 5-minute clip.
Take a picture of anything. I saw somebody taking a picture of a picture. Look at that nice picture. Let me get a
picture. Yeah, you guys gotta watch that. That is the funniest thing ever. And he talks about like the old days of the cameras when they looked like accordions and stuff. It was great. You can hold out from buying the Levente's holding out to buy the EM5 Mark III. You know, I'm really happy that I have original Olympus gear made by Olympus, you know. And I know even if they change names, that technically it's still made by the same people that made the Olympus. I think that's the plan. But it's, you know, it makes me feel a little nostalgic now. Because let's say in a year or two they come out with the new brand, but it's still it says OMD, but it has a different brand on the little flash hump or EVF hump here, right? If it doesn't say Olympus here, it just doesn't feel the same, right? Even if it says OMD and it's a great camera. So having original Olympus cameras just means something to me. And something else I wanted to I'll talk about it in the photo editing live stream. But okay, David, we'll see you later. David has to go to physical therapy. He got some back issues we talked about yesterday, but that was a great photo walk yesterday, David. I appreciate it. We'll have to do it again because we're not too far apart. You live like only about 30 minutes from me, so. And he knows he runs a photo club, so he knows where all the good places are to go take pictures. And he's really so patient. He's like the best photo walk companion ever, right? He doesn't, you don't feel like, because a lot of times when I go on a photo walk and there's other people with me, I'm just so distracted by the other person. But Bob was so like or David was so I don't know if forgiving is the right word or not, but he was very patient and was not getting in the way of my thought process when I was looking at a scene and trying to get an image, and he was very encouraging in some respects for the pro capture. And so I had a really good time going out on a photo walk, because normally I like to go by myself, right? But it was kind of nice to go out with a like-minded person that was not, stepping on your feet, so to speak, right? When you're trying to take a picture. Most of the sunflowers were probably just a little bit below eye level. And then there was a few oddball ones that went up like, 6 or 8 feet over my head. Like the one picture that I did with the, has a little smiley face in it. That one was probably about 8 feet high, maybe 7. So 2.5 meters, 3 meters at most is the highest one if you want to talk metric. But yeah, I miss photographing in Florida, Marsha. I mean, Florida is awesome place to go shooting. I got some great pictures with my little Fujifilm camera when I was toting a little pocket Fujifilm, those compact cameras from Florida that because the light is so good down there. But okay, I have to start my next live stream for the photo editing. So I appreciate everybody coming in today and joining me for another photo chat. Michael, I will try to get back to you about that other thing in my forum. And if not, post a question in the forum and I'll answer it if I forget. Because even though I write it down, sometimes I still forget. Greetings, Marvin. Oh, I'm so glad you can make it today. Yeah, I haven't downloaded anything yet, Levante. So if you guys submitted photos during this stream, I'll get them for the next one. So thanks again for joining, and we'll see you guys on Sunday or next week. There it is.